Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this video I'm going to take a look at the best Hearthstone decks on the first half of January 2023. And how would I characterize the past week? I think the past week has mostly been characterized by refinement. The majority of decks in this video have now changed by a card or two cards, just a little bit of changes here and there that are optimizing the decks. There have also been some attempts at breakthrough innovation. There have been stuff with Control Warrior, Charge Warrior, Face Hunter. According to statistics, none of those have really worked out. None of them are consistent. And there is this. This is actually the most interesting thing about this week. I'm rating this at number 14, but I don't have enough data to confidently place this anywhere. I mean, currently the data shows that this has like 58% win rate in Legend at something like 700 games. Okay, so we're talking about plus minus 6 percentage points. Yeah, you can see that things can really go one way or another for this deck still. But Control Paladin, in some ways, Control Paladin is back on the ladder after a while. The current decks, they just don't have that sort of lethality in the end when you're facing Lightforged Cariel, because they're dealing chunks of damage and Cariel is really good at preventing chunks of damage. Also note that this is a 30 card list. This list does not run Prince Renatal, so a little bit sleeker, more Cariel-y Control Paladin deck, and well, I can't confidently say whether this is going to be good. I think we will know in 1 week, but something new. And then also something old. Coming in at number 13 we have T-Frog. T-Frog, last week I didn't rate T-Frog among the best decks. I said okay, T-Frog is playable, but it's not particularly good, and I think the same still applies. Now in this refinement phase, T-Frog is actually better now than it was 1 week ago, because T-Frog is better against the archetypes that are surviving. But on the other hand, T-Frog is not super good at anything, but it's a perfectly playable deck if you like that. On the other hand, Miracle Rogue is just far superior. At number 12 we have another blast from the past with Curse Imp Warlock. Curse Imp Warlock has actually finally included Astral Bloodstone in the deck, because if you play Hearthstone you kind of want to put Astral Bloodstone into your deck, and yeah, that's pretty sweet. Also, Sire Denaturus is out, so no Sire, but yes, Astral. Curse Imp Warlock. Curse Imp Warlock does have some issues in the meta, because the most popular deck, many of the most popular decks are pretty aggressive, and Curse Imp Warlock can struggle against those. Then there are a couple of slower decks that are also viable, like Big Spell Mage and T-Frog, and Curse Imp Warlock is really good against those. So Curse Imp Warlock is a little bit polarized and kind of mediocre, but it does have slightly above 50% win rate, so I guess you could climb with this. At number 11 we have Aggro Mage, and Aggro Mage's problem is that it has not been able to keep up with this refining process, because the Aggro Mage list is still the exact same list as it was before, and Aggro Mage just has grown weaker in the meta. Its opposition has grown stronger, it has not been able to respond. It's still okay-ish deck, but no longer nearly as strong as it was just 1 week ago. Then the top 10 decks, if I was serious about climbing, then the top 10 decks I could confidently take any of these on the ladder, play all the way to Legend. Those others, okay, stats are still showing that you can climb with them, but it's going to be a little bit difficult. But this top 10, just grab the deck, go, boom, kill people. And at number 10 we have the classic Imp Warlock. Imp Warlock as mostly a single expansion deck. It's just the package is what it is. There is one significant change, which is that Sire Denaturus has been dropped from pretty much all successful Imp Warlock versions. There are 2 competing Imp Warlock versions that are good. One of them runs Astalor and the other one runs Sylvanas, and both of those are perfectly fine. It looks like the Astalor version is slightly stronger than the Sylvanas version, even though Imp Warlock naturally has a lot of support for Sylvanas, but there might not be enough targets for her, so Astral version would be my main recommendation for Imp Warlock. At number 9 we have Enrage Warrior. Enrage Warrior has not changed at all since last week, but last week there was pretty major new stuff going on with Enrage Warrior, so it doesn't necessarily have to respond right now, and it's still doing quite alright. And at number 8 we have Pure Paladin. There have been attempts with Pure Paladin to cut the Blood Crusader, because the theory goes, hey, you're facing these fast decks, and Blood Crusader, you're just going to kill yourself with Blood Crusader Countess, so why not cut that and play without it? But now, after some more experimentation, the card that has ended up being cut is actually Cariel. Cariel performance was notably weak in the previous era of Pure Paladin, and now Cariel has been cut and Blood Crusader has been reintroduced for those slower matchups, and this version seems to be slightly stronger overall. However, I have to say that interest in Paladin is quite low, and there just aren't big enough sample sizes of all the various Pure Paladin lists to confidently say which one of them is the best. I like the look of this one the best, trying to look into stats and performance of individual cards in the lists, and yeah, I would just play this one. At number 7 we have Frost Death Knight, and the refinement of Frost Death Knight for this week is that Blood Mage Talnos has been cut. Blood Mage Talnos, it's a curious card because in some lists it seems to be performing quite well, but in many of the lists it seems to be performing really weakly. I have been going back and forth on that Talnos. I mean, is Talnos good? Maybe I should just play with Talnos. Maybe I should diss Talnos. I've been going back and forth myself the whole time. And currently, according to statistics, ditching Talnos in order to include 2 copies of School Teacher seems to be the optimal move. I would still want to see a list that would cut Lady Death Whisper and maybe add Talnos back and see what that would do, but those sort of lists are just not seeing play right now. At number 6 we have Evolve Shaman, and this Neptune the Tidehunter Shadowhunt the Vol'jin list. It turns out this is the best Evolve Shaman list, as I already mentioned last week, when we first had enough stats to verify that, okay, this is better than the Sea Giants list. And it's just steadily climbing ranks and slowly overtaking other decks and getting stronger and stronger. And at number 5 we have the Quest Spell Demon Hunter. Last week I featured multiple Spell Demon Hunters, quest variants and non-quest variants, all sorts of Spell Demon Hunters. But right now the quest variant has become the dominant one, and also the list with Abusive Sergeant has become the dominant one. That was a bit of a surprise to me. I have to say I misread the strength of Abusive Sergeant a little, because Abusive Sergeant only seemed good in the High Legend meta, and it seemed much weaker in the meta that was prevalent on a little bit lower ranks. But now that meta has been refined, and that High Legend meta has propagated a little bit wider to the ladder, so there are fewer different matchups that you face, and Abusive Sergeant turns out that it is strong against the decks that are being played. I still kind of liked the Chase version, but Chase version is a little slow, so it will depend on what kind of meta there's going to be, how many defensive decks are people playing, and also if we're going to get any balance patches, then what sort of balance patches we're going to get. But for the time being, it looks like Abusive Sergeant is the way to build Quest Spell Demon Hunter. You can also still play the Chase version, you can still play Spell Demon Hunter without the quest, those are perfectly playable decks, but this is clearly a stronger deck. A little bit of something also going on for Big Spell Mage. The Arcane Defender spell was clearly the weakest spell, and it has now been cut completely from the list and replaced with a pair of School Teachers. And that seems to improve Big Spell Mage a little bit, the slowest great deck in the meta right now. And yeah, what is there not to like? Free stuff, high roll with Belinda, get some random stuff with Rune of the Archmage and win games. And at number 3 we have the trusty old Beast Hunter. Beast Hunter never change, and it hasn't changed. This is the exact same list that I showcased last week, and Beast Hunter still just rolling through the ladder. Although Beast Hunter is not the best Hunter variant at the moment, because the best Hunter variant is Shockspitter Hunter, Shockspitter Hunter also has not changed since last week. The kind of optimal form of Shockspitter Hunter was already discovered, and it remains a powerful deck, although this week it is no longer the number 1. Because the number 1 deck is now the refined version of Miracle Rogue. Miracle Rogue is just really, really strong. Those concoctions allow you to do just really broken random stuff. You get cards from other classes that cost much less, and then you can just win games with those. Or you can win games with Astalor, or you can win games with Edwin, or you can win games with Null Pressure, or you can win games with Krabatoa, or you can win games with Graveyards. there are just so many ways to win games with Miracle Rogue. Another interesting aspect of Miracle Rogue is that Miracle Rogue performance gets better the higher you go on the ladder. So Miracle Rogue is at its strongest in Legend. It could indicate that this is a high skill deck. I mean, the difference is small, but it's still there. I mean, 1% is still 1%. Or it could also indicate that higher on the ladder, people are playing more refined versions of Miracle Rogue, and lower on the ladder, people are playing weaker versions of Miracle Rogue. Be that as it may, right now, best deck in the game, Miracle Rogue, with Shockspitter Hunter coming in close second. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.